Perfect time to like this video. Subscribe to PHNX Sports here on YouTube. So many friends in the chat. So many friends of the program just doing big things. Speaking of friends of the program, part of the program, Greg Dortch of the Greg Dortch podcast last season is poised for a big year. If you don't believe me, why don't you check out his Instagram, the newest number 4, not to be confused with Rondell Moore that they shipped out of town. Greg Dortch, the new number 4, game recognizing game. So promotional shots have been done with the Cardinals. They're throwing some up. Players are on their personal social media platforms. Greg Dortch playing a little ball, and you can see the big 3 represent here. Kyler Murray, Michael Wilson, Marvin Harrison Jr. As God intended. Game recognizes game. I'm not going to dog on Rondell Moore too much more, but I feel like this wasn't a thing, and now it is. This is a very tight-knit group, which you love to see. This is the Cardinals' big 3. Are we sleeping on a Greg Dortch breakout season, Bo Brock?
A little bit. I had him as a breakout candidate mostly because you stole Michael Wilson last week and you're trying to lead the charge for Michael Wilson like you created it.
Yes.
But look, vibes are an all-time high for the Cardinals right now.
They are.
I mean, we talked to Jaden Davis, and I asked him about iron sharpening iron and them having to go up against this offense and practice every day. And you got JC in the backfield, you got Trey McBride, you've got the trio of wide receivers, Marvin Harrison Jr. and Michael Wilson, and lost in the shuffle is Greg Dortch. And what did Jaden Davis say to us about Greg Dortch?
He's a baller.
He's a glitch. It's like he's a glitch.
Yeah.
He's here one moment, and then the next thing you know, he's wide open in the middle of the field catching a pass on you. We know that because we watched Greg Dortch play football the last couple seasons here in the desert. He's a special talent. He's an underrated talent, as Kyler Murray said. If he was 6'3", people would sleep on him a lot less. But I think he's going to thrive in the slot for the Cardinals, and it's just going to be embarrassment of riches. It's going to come down to Kyler Murray, going through his progressions and finding the wide open playmaker, because he's certainly going to have a lot of those opportunities this season. And I think Greg Dortch is going to be the beneficiary of those.
YouTube user at 5'7", he's built like a rock. He's going to have a huge season for us. He plays bigger than his size. It's cliche. I talk about this all the time when we talk about Dortch. He's a winning football player. He's somebody that you want on your team, contributing to your offense, whatever that is. And Dortch gets lost. Like, we love the draft process. We love the prep. We love the 40 times, the pro days. We love it all. We cover it for 6 months. Greg Dortch is the outlier to that. A small school, Wake Forest, that was not productive at the collegiate level. He's undrafted. He bounced around another team. He's a developmental guy that now is getting his time to shine because he's earned it. And he may not have one singular measurable that blows you away off the field. Emphasis on off the field. But when it's time to play football, when it's you and your buddies playing backyard football all the way up to the NFL, who's going to step up and make a play? And when push comes to shove, if your name wasn't Trey McBride or at times Michael Wilson last year, it was Greg Dortch. Greg Dortch was their number 1 receiver over the final 8 games of the regular season. So it gets you fired up because he's getting an opportunity. He's earned. Nothing was promised to him. I hope, like, for him, he makes big money and signs a big time deal with somebody next offseason, whether that's the Cardinals or otherwise.
Yeah, you hope it's here. You hope he gets an opportunity.
They'll have the money.
Yeah, and he puts up has the season that the Cardinals say, hey, we've got this space, we got the cap space, and we can make this deal happen for a guy that deserves it. But now you have buy-in across the board. Like, always, I feel like Kyler Murray was in his corner, right? But now he's got the buy-in from the coaching staff, which, he went from he had to beat Cliff Kingsbury's coaching staff over the head to give the guy playing time. And what happens when they do? He produces.
Yeah.
And then a new coaching staff comes in and they're trying to get their bearings. And unfortunately, an undrafted guy like Greg Dortch sometimes gets lost in the shuffle just due to NFL politics. And Greg Dortch knew this from the jump, that he had to prove himself once again. And what did he have to do? Bang JG and Drew Petzing over the head with, producing every opportunity he got. And by the end of the season, they realized that this was an impact player. More than just, whether it's at the wide receiver position, he was the guy that was their punt returner, kick returner the entire season. And, in the NFL, I talk about politics in the league. Far often do teams make the mistake of betting on guys what they think they can be. They think with the size and the athleticism that they can be productive players, and they fall short for a variation of different reasons, where they don't love the game, they're not in a great position, they don't put in the work. Greg Dortch is a guy that has proven that if given an opportunity, he's going to produce. He's proven to be a productive and winning football player. And now with all that, the stars are aligning for this guy to have his best season as a pro.
We talked about the Niners earlier, and like hopefully this is the beginning of the deterioration for the Niners in their core, right? Kittle's 30 and Debo, Ayuk, one of whom could be traded. And you got Ricky Pearsall entering the fold. Like this is a group, excuse me, that, I mean, if Dortch is re-signed and McBride signs a contract, which we expect, like this is a group that could be together for a long time. Michael Wilson and Marvin Harrison Jr. on rookie deals. Michael's, making no money for the next 3 years. Marvin's making no money for 5 years. Greg Dortch is a restricted free agent potentially after this year. Jalen Blair in the chat pointing that out. Could get tendered again for $5.5 million.
Yeah.
And Trey McBride's 24 years old. Like, wouldn't it be nice, as much as I love the Bruce Arians years and I love D-Hop in Arizona, it was like those groups had a shelf life. Fitz was older. D-Hop was older. I mean, this has a chance. And I don't want to jinx it. I'm knocking on the biggest piece of wood I can. For the first time in a long time, Fitz, Anquan Bolden, a group of core players to grow with each other, with your franchise quarterback. And that was always the separation from C-Palm and Kurt Warner. Could never get the timing synced up right. Well, lo and behold, here comes Monty Ossenford with a draft and develop mindset. And Kyler Murray bought in his mid-20s. This is a group right now of about 4 to 5 guys. Maybe you add in Trey Benson in the year. It's like, shit, the Cardinals offense, they're loaded. And nobody's making any money. And we could ride this way for 3 to 5 years. The Cardinals and their fan base deserve that. Like we just moved into our new house and we're putting my son's bedroom together. And he's like, I want to get a fat head for the wall, right? I want to put up a Cardinal player. And they have Kyler Murray's, but then that's about it. They got J.J. Watt. They got some older players. I'm like, we need an infusion of these young offensive guys like the Justin Jeffersons of the world that are synonymous with the Cardinals. The Cardinals are this close. They're right there. They're on the cusp.
Well, it's always those teams that they kind of fly under the radar for a little bit, and then they go and they make some noise and they make themselves undeniable. And the league has to pay attention, right? Because they've got such, unbelievably talented stars like a Jettas, like Marvin Harrison can be that guy. And then out of nowhere, to the league, Michael Wilson, emerges, and Trey McBride like he did last year. And Trey McBride's not going to be doing it for a 4-win team. He's going to be doing it for a team that is going to make a push, hopefully, for a postseason spot. So it's been far too long that, I mean, it is crazy. You still got like J.J. Watt fatheads. It's been that.
Well, and Kyler's fathead is the old uniform.
Yeah.
We need a refresh of they've done a refresh on the field. Now we need a refresh of some marketing material. Like, it's time to reintroduce everybody to the Arizona Cardinals. Here's a super chat. Richard Bowe, I'll pose this to you, $4.99. I think Dallas, the new running back they signed from Seattle, or Greg Dortch will be the returners with the new kickoff rule.
So the only difference between the kickoff rule that the NFL adopted from the XFL is the XFL had one lone returner, where the NFL is going to implement 2. And I think that there's a chance that you're going to see DJ Dallas and Greg Dortch back there returning kicks for the Arizona Cardinals. And then I think Dortch probably continues as your punt return guy.
Yeah, I agree. I think he's earned that, right? And it makes him more valuable to the team, and hopefully makes him in a better position to cash in next year. But yeah,
he's really good too.
Yeah.
Like he doesn't get tackled first man ever. I feel like he didn't have like a huge return other than I think like one last year from a punt standpoint, but every return was 10 yards. Like he's getting you like an extra 10 yards. It feels like every time he's running with the football.
He's sure-handed. Like the one, I think, issue they had in that Houston game, that was a poor call from the officiating. They even had the replay on it. Like, I can't think of any issues from him in that role where he made a costly turnover or anything, or muffed a punt, or he took a ball out that he shouldn't. And you got to have guys with high football IQs with this new rule going into effect. And I think that's why they like DJ so much, and why they continue to like Dortch, is there's going to be a lot of things on the fly, adjustments they're going to have to make with this new play coming in, that they can't just have some guys back there that, you like their athleticism, you like their speed. And what Damon's saying, I mean, he's a guy that can consistently, like, you get Greg Dortch in a position where he's got open yardage. You got him being a bigger weapon than you even anticipated, just throwing him some extra snaps in the slot. Like, this guy's going to, like, him becoming more of a weapon in the return game. Like, that's a big chance for him.